QMJHL trade period's coming to a close. Is there a trade in the works for the Edmonton Oilers and Antonio Brown? All that and more. It's Sports QuaranTV. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Sports QuaranTV. Chris Dobson and Gerry Green. Welcome back. It's been a few weeks. Happy New Year. We'll start there. Gerry, good to see your face, my friend. We have a lot to catch up on. We are going to start, as I mentioned off the hop, with the QMJHL trade period. It is coming to a close. We've seen some big names on the move so far.
Yeah, there hasn't been action on the ice, Chris. There's been action in the boardroom, if you will, or between the managements of all these teams. And a lot of the teams in the Maritime Division, three of them specifically, are making significant moves to want to vie for a championship. And the first one we talk about, of course, is the St. John Sea Dogs, Chris, because they're going to be hosting the Memorial Cup, and they want to make sure they ice a good team. They have, yes, they have a good team, but now they've added Vincent Sevigny, who is playing in Victoriaville. He's a 20-year-old, and here's the interesting problem, Chris. Great numbers, good offensive defenseman, played on a championship team last year in Victoriaville. He teams up nicely with Poirier as a 1-2 combination when it comes to offense. But, Chris, he's a 20-year-old, so already in St. John you have 20-year-old Ryan Francis, you have 20-year-old Jonathan Lemieux in the nets, and you have 20-year-old Chris Innes on the blue line. If you had to, and you're going to have to, which one do you get rid of?
It is going to be a tough decision to make for Trevor Georgie. The sad reality is it looks to me like Christopher Innes could be the odd man out. I know if I'm looking at it from a holistic point of view, and again, at this point, you're looking to build a Memorial Cup winner. Jonathan Lemieux to me hasn't been what I was expecting to see of him, the first half of the season. That being said, he is very capable of turning things around with the right team in front of him. And I don't think there's another upgrade for Trevor Georgie and the St. John Sea Dogs in net. I know that Gordy Dwyer has built the defense around what it is he's looking to do. The D's look good. Now you add, Vincent Sevigny to this roster. It's going to fit in well. But to me, the unfortunate part, and I like Christopher Innes. I know It's going to break my heart to see him because he's that the gritty blue liner that I love watching. But overall, I would think he's the odd man out, unless there's something else in the works that we don't know about.
I thought all along when they traded for Chris Innes that he was going to come in and show, he was the older statesman, he was going to show that younger crew of Villeneuve and Poirier and the bunch how to play a little bit more tougher defensively. And since he's come to St. John and St. John gives up a bunch of goals, Chris Innes is always on the plus side of plus minus. He doesn't score a lot of goals. He doesn't assist on a lot of goals. He does those things behind the scenes that are very important. Is he the guy going out? I think he has to be, Chris, not based on his performance, but the fact that you have Jonathan Lemieux and Ryan Francis as the other two 20-year-olds. And despite the fact that Lemieux is 8-10, a goals against a 3.55, and a save percentage of .892, you throw that out the window. He has the experience of playing in a championship for the President's Cup, and if not the Memorial Cup. He has lots of experience doing that. You have Patno as the backup. He's had a great season, but no playoff experience for him either. So I don't think you can move Lemieux. You definitely can't move Ryan Francis. Unfortunately, with 78 coming in, I think it's going to be Christopher Innes. Now, the other part of this shoe that's supposed to drop, Chris, is Elliot Desnoyers. He is supposed to, in theory, the rumors, the scuttlebutt, is that he's coming from Halifax to St. John. Is that what you believe to happen?
According to most speculation and rumors out there, and again, we won't know officially until the end of the trade period, although all reports that are being reported now is that Elliot Desnoyers will be joining the St. John Sea Dogs from the Halifax Mooseheads, which is a huge get for St. John. I know that I was having a conversation with Trevor when the season started, and, Desnoyers was a key piece that he had his eye on when the season started. I mean, you're looking for a veteran. Desnoyers is one of the, in my opinion, one of the best players out there available right now from a draft perspective. The captain of the Halifax Mooseheads goes over there in that massive trade to Moncton. And, that bought Bo Grew and Jared McIsaac over to the Moncton Wildcats during their year. Unfortunately, you had to give to get. And, Elliot Desnoyers fit in really well. He's a well-loved player down in Halifax. but Halifax ultimately knows that they're not in it this year. They've got key pieces to move.
Mm-hmm.
In a year or two, Halifax is going to be stacked, and you're going to use this key piece. My question mark is, and I saw a great podcast interview. I believe it was a Philadelphia Flyers fan podcast. And I was listening to an interview that they did with Desnoyers, and he was talking about it himself, about the rumors about a trade to St. John. And, so I think at this point, the deal is all but done. I just don't know what the acquisition cost is going to be, because this is where it gets interesting to me, is now that everything's starting to take place, is there going to be a clause in the futures part of these deals that go on the other way? Because as you and I both know, we were calling the games that year. Moncton got robbed during their COVID season, and all the picks and all the futures and everything that went to Halifax for that Bogru, Jared McIsaac, there was no reversal from the league. And I get it. No one knew how long this thing was going to last. It's unfortunate, but GMs have to take this into consideration moving forward, because you're not going to sell the farm if you don't have a shot to close this thing out this year. You're not going to make that mistake again.
No, you're not. And the thing about Elliot Desnoyers, Chris, when we first saw him in a Moncton uniform, second round pick, looked promising. He was early second round. It's still a promising pick. And he learned as he went, and he had some great players come in his last year in Moncton, learned a lot of stuff there. But my goodness, he's blossomed in Halifax, and what a dynamic performer he is in this league. And he can put him anywhere, really, and he can be a leader. He can be a defensive minded player, but he can be an offensive minded player too. And the bonus for St. John on this, Chris, with the World Juniors being canceled, Elliot Desnoyers doesn't come in with a lot of wear and tear and stress on him from the World Juniors. He's going to come in fresh, and unfortunately the World Juniors got canceled. But good news for the St. John Sea Dogs if Elliot Desnoyers is getting there. Chris, on that subject, the World Juniors, what was your impression? I know it's a few days ago, or over 10 days ago, that it got canceled. How did you feel when you heard the news?
I was sad. I was sad for these guys. Guys like Elliot Desnoyers. I mean, we've had the chance to watch these guys grow up, and while they were right here in Moncton, I've had the chance to interview Elliot a few times myself. And you feel, because this is a dream of theirs that they're never going to receive. I shouldn't say never, because there are rumors. I saw the interview with Martin, the head of the IIHF, and he was talking about this tournament possibly going in the summer, so that to give these kids a chance to actually play it out. I don't think it's going to happen, but I also believe the flack he took from the women's under 18 online as well. I think it's playing into it. But overall, I feel for the team. Who I feel for the most, the Germans. You see that photo that took place at center ice. Their entire team lined up in street clothes on the last day before they were leaving. Once the tournament canceled, they had that huge upset win. So plus nobody was getting relegated this year. Which I was actually really surprised about. I mean, when this whole thing started, don't forget the Team USA had to forfeit a 1-0 loss because two players test positive for COVID. So their thought process was as well, we can't let a team, imagine had someone like that, the relegation process is in there. Imagine the US has to cancel all their games. They go 0-4, and then all of a sudden they get relegated because of COVID. So, but either way, it was sad to see. I feel bad for the kids, but you are right. In a positive, wherever a guy like Elliot Desnoyers ends up, he's not banged up, and he's probably got a chip on his shoulder. So, you take that leadership and you run with it, right?
That's right. Speaking of leaders, the Charlottetown Islanders have just done an improvement in their nets. But I have a question. Francisco Lapina, who's coming over from Drummondville, I looked at his numbers, Chris. Nothing outstanding for him. He's got a .500 record in 77 games he's played in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. A goals against a 3.00. And again, no playoff experience. 0-3 in the playoffs last year with Drummondville. And now he's going to team up with Oliver Stadney. And out goes Jacob Gooby. And I thought Gooby was going to be their guy, and I guess not. They think this guy, Lapina, because of his association with Xavier Semino, who also came from Drummondville, that's going to be the key on why they selected him.
Francisco Lapena, they're saying that he was the best goaltender in the QMJHL for that reason. There's a reason Charlottetown went after him. You look at the last 2 years and the numbers he posted in Drummondville. I was looking at them myself. Yes, he's at a 3.0 goals against right now, but his last 2 years was a 2.68 and a 2.99 to start this year here. 2.68 with a 911 save percentage. I don't know, man. Like with a team like Charlottetown in front of you, Lucas Cormier is going to come back with that same chip that Elliot Desnoyers had. I think that's a good get for them. Now, do I think that's a move that Charlottetown had to make? I don't think they were sold on Jacob Gooby taking them to the promised land. So, they made the moves they had to make. Overall, I'm a big Jacob Gooby fan. So
The team
I
quietly,
wish to see him well.
certainly, Chris, this
No, it's
team
all good.
quietly sneaking up from behind is the Acadie Bathurst Titan. Not only did they get Henrik Lapierre finally come to their lineup,
Who's
they
done
now
nothing.
have acquired. Yes, but I look give him some time to get
I
his feet
get it.
wet
I
in
get it.
there.
I get it. I get it.
They add Felix Lafrance, who is the league's leading scorer, and then they add Thomas Bellegarde on the up at center too, to go with Miguel Turgany. I'm trying to spit his name out. He's the number one defenseman in the league and leads the league for defensemen with 19 goals. And they've really quietly added three pretty big pieces there and ship out Jackson Bellamy, because if they're bringing in LaFrance, Bellamy had to go as a 20-year-old, same scenario that St. John had. But do you think they could sneak up on these other teams in the Maritime Division?
I do. I think Bathurst is actually going to be a team. I think out of all the acquisitions and all the teams in the Maritimes that made the most moves, I think Bathurst is the team who's going to, they're feeding off they were looking to win when they tried to win out the Maritime Division last year. Don't forget they had that like weird tournament style Maritime.
Yeah.
And Bathurst was poised to do very well. You talk about moving Jackson Bellamy. That's a great get for Moncton. I mean, going back to where it all begins. He will wear number 3, I think, instead of number 5. That's what he started with. But Jackson Bellamy going back to Moncton, again, is a good veteran blue line there. But overall, to me, Bathurst, they're the team I want to watch. You look at what they paid for Miguel Turigny. They paid 2 seconds, a third, and a fourth. And that's what it cost for them. And if you look at the acquisitions they've made, you know what? I like this team. I think the team is going to be very well. I think they're going to be very dangerous, and I do think they're going to catch up.
And what's happened in Bathurst very quietly, Chris, is if they have the best goaltending in the division, I think, with the tandem of Arsenault and Bednar. Now, that can be a discussion piece, but nonetheless. But the league isn't supposed to get back playing for another 2 weeks, so we'll wait and see what happens to there. What about on the ice elsewhere, Chris, the NHL? What do you think of those New York Rangers? I like Gerard Gallant, obviously. I've said that before. And they seem to be on a roll. They're not allowing very many goals, and they seem to be sitting now on top of the Atlantic Division.
Absolutely. It's something that the Rangers have done. You talked about Gerard Gallant. I've always been a Gerard Gallant fan. Still sad to see him leave the day he left Montreal, and then he got shipped out of the teams he went to. It's a great team in New York. However, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute.
Sure.
If you look at the wins they have. Thanks. If you look at the wins they have, they've been blown out 4 times now by teams. Colorado's blown them out twice. Pittsburgh's blown them out twice. All their wins seem to be coming against teams that, necessarily should. I'm not trying.
So you're not sold on them yet. You're not sold on them yet.
Not yet.
I understand. They got good goaltending. They've got one of the best young defensemen, and they've got Panarin and the boys up front, including I see Lafreniere put up a couple points the other night, so maybe he'll get off the snide a little bit. But what about the Edmonton Oilers? Thinking of who's hot, who's not. Edmonton Oilers have dropping off like crazy. They're only won 2 of their last 10. You remember when they started the season 9-1, and oh my goodness, is this the year for the Edmonton Oilers? Edmonton Oilers fans were just grinning from ear to ear. And now here you have Edmonton is only got 2 wins in their last 10. Here you got Vancouver winning 8 of their last 10 with a new coach. Talk to me about both of those subjects, Chris.
As far as the Edmonton Oilers go, I don't know how, Jerry, and I don't know why. Somehow the Edmonton Oilers are going to end up with the first overall pick in the draft. I don't know how they're going to do it, but overall, no. Their biggest problem is between the pipes. They are going to have to make a move in net, and I'm absolutely stonewalled at how shocked I am that when we talked about, do you remember a few months ago we talked about why didn't they acquire a goaltender when they were available? Instead, they signed Mike Smith and Koskinen, who has been an absolute dumpster fire.
Who's going upstairs and knocking on the door? Who's going to do that?
Connor McDavid. Again, if I'm Connor McDavid right now, I walk upstairs and I go, guys, figure this out or I'm out. Like, this is not fair to him. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not trying to compare him to Sidney Crosby by any means, Jerry, but when Sid came into the league, Mario Lemieux built that team around Sidney Crosby. He listened, did everything he had to do. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl by themselves, and don't kid yourself, the blue line is the old defective blue line in Toronto, but I still like what they have. But their goaltending situation to me is like, if I'm Edmonton right now, and you have to think that somewhere in Montreal, now that Jeff Wharton's out there, that either Carey Price if he sees a game this year, you know, teams are calling about him because Montreal is going to have to eat some of that salary cap, or even possibly Jake Allen. Jake Allen would be a good fit in Edmonton right now. He's better than what they've got because there's not a lot of goaltenders available right now.
No.
But if I'm Edmonton, but as far as Vancouver goes, oh my goodness, have they ever been fun to watch? Have they?
It amazes you, Chris. It amazes you that somebody can make a change behind the bench in regards to Bruce Boudreau, who seems like a player's coach, and maybe tweaks a few things, maybe does something to the power play, the penalty kill, or maybe rubs somebody on the back just the right way, be it Pettersson. And all of a sudden, you've got yourself a 8 out of 10.
Forget Pettersson. Let's talk about Connor Garland for a minute. I mean, if you look at and I'm not.
No, he has been good. No,
he's been unreal. You know, which is exactly why they signed him to that $6 million deal in Edmonton, in Vancouver, excuse me. And then, you know, everybody's buying in, and, you know, everybody's smiling on the bench. It's amazing how winning is contagious.
Yes.
Everybody's having a good time. Goaltending's been playing well. The team's been playing well. The power plays look good. They finally got Pettersson going. I agree with you. Vancouver's probably my favorite team to watch right now.
I love hockey that it can turn around that fast. Remember the year St. Louis Blues were the worst team at Christmas time and they ended up winning the Stanley Cup? That's how quickly it can turn around. And they made a coaching change. Remember when they brought Craig Berube in and changed things up and changed the atmosphere? Yo was out and Berube was in. These things can happen in hockey, and that's what I love. Chris, did you watch the Winter Classic the other night? It was a night game, first of all. It was in Minneapolis, which was another thing, and it was minus 20. I loved it.
I did love it. I watched half of it. I didn't watch it all. I'll be honest. The Winter Classic for me is not the same pizzazz and the excitement as it used to be. I think it's a little weird that the NHL's canceling games because you can't put people in a building, but then they'll put 70,000 people in the night. I don't. But overall, hey, look, I'm glad it went off without a hitch. I'm glad they took their own advice and moved that event to the evening. So, you know, the game could go on. There was no sun. The ice wasn't soft. It was minus 25, mind you. But overall, I like the spectacle. The scenery was beautiful. The arena setup was nice. The ice surface looked great. But overall, I'm just not a fan.
Well, Minnesota's, it's the state of hockey, isn't it? I think Minnesota's always been claimed as the state of hockey. Yeah, hey, let's go to another subject, Chris, of the NFL and the state of mind of Antonio Brown. He seemed to be the big story coming out of Week 17 because of his antics. And what was your impressions of what you saw in him throwing the jersey off and prancing away against the Jets off into the corridor?
He's a donkey. There's no nice way to put it. I like Bruce Arians' press conference. The first thing I said, what happened with Antonio Brown? He made it very short and sweet and said, he is no longer a Buck. Let's move on. Then all these videos and images started to surface about Antonio Brown. They made him take an Uber when he was outside. He was waiting. He was sending pictures on Twitter from the Uber he was in. The best thing about the Antonio Brown situation are the memes that came from it on the internet. And that's why I love the internet. At the end of the day, Antonio Brown needs help. He's never been the same since he took that headshot. The one thing I liked about Antonio Brown and everything that took place, if you remove it all, was that last night was Ben Roethlisberger's potentially last game in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field, and Antonio Brown put out a video wishing Ben Roethlisberger all the best, talking about very positive things about Big Ben. And I thought that was very cool of him to do. Not that he wants to be in the spotlight. I don't like Antonio Brown. I think the guy's a clown. But overall, I hope he gets the help he needs because that's where he's at right now. The man needs help. He's got all the talent in the world, but he's a donkey.
Yeah, Brown is 3 strikes you're out. Remember, he started his career in Pittsburgh. You knew that. And then he went to New England with Belichick and now ended up and did get a Super Bowl ring last year with Tampa Bay. But just too much.
With Tom Brady. Tom Brady took him into his home.
Exactly. He's just one of those characters that think he's bigger than the game, and that's annoying to watch. And the way that he left was annoying to watch as well. I love Ben Roethlisberger leaving, perhaps for the final time, Heinz Field in Pittsburgh the other night with a victory in his last game there. When I think of Ben Roethlisberger, Chris, nothing jumps to mind for me in regards to his abilities. I know he's a big, strong quarterback that's hard to bring down. I know, but he's not. He's kind of vanilla for me. He gets the job done, and he said it in the post game after the game the other night. He says, "We get the win. That's what I do," and that's exactly what he did do. He won 2 Super Bowls. And Chris, did you know he played 18 years in Pittsburgh? What do you remember about Ben Roethlisberger?
The size. He was unorthodox. He was a big man for a QB. I thought that, all the whether you like Ben Roethlisberger, whether you don't like Ben Roethlisberger, you mentioned it, you're bang on. 18 years with the same team in the NFL. It's you look at some of the playoff runs, and the Super Bowl wins that he's got in Pittsburgh. They were not very. There wasn't a lot of pizzazz, if you want to.
No, that's what I mean.
And I agree with you. I mean, if you look back at some of the, back as there's like Jerome Bettis way back in the day as well.
Yes.
And again, everything they've done, their defense was always the team. Like their defense was the defense in the NFL.
Chris, tell me this. Do you remember a game in that playoff year that Pittsburgh won the Super Bowl? They were the wild card. Didn't they go into Indianapolis and get a victory? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that game?
Too, I do remember the game. And if you look, that was the same draft era as Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning.
Right.
That's the last of the era right there. I mean, that says something about that.
And he's had difficulties.
He's had a great career.
He's had difficulties off the field too early in his career, and so that kind of sits in the back of my mind as well. But he's definitely a Hall of Famer. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings.
First ballot.
He's 18 years with one team. I mean, and I think I saw the stat the other day. There was maybe 2 games that he ever played in his career where his team was below 500. That says a lot. Not only a coaching staff, but the fact that Ben Roethlisberger leads that team by being the quarterback.
So let me ask you this then. I know it's a lot of speculation, but in your mind, do you think Ben Roethlisberger's done? I want your opinion. Do you think he's done? Do you think he'll have a change of heart?
Big body like that, it's I don't know. It's
plus he had the motorcycle accident. He's taken some.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I forgot about that. I would never say never. I would never say he's never said that he's done. I don't think I've ever heard it come out of his mouth.
He
so
said he could be, but he didn't. I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, at the end of the day, every star quarterback says that, and then all of a sudden, unless you're Tom Brady, who says, "I'm going to play for another 5 years," and I'm like, "Okay, Gary." Relax.
And the cool thing this week, Chris, is that we have an extra week, and so we've got some key games, and these are the games I like, and this is where the networks wanted to wait to see which games were going to be good and where they're going to put them in the schedule. And one is your Colts playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is. It could be interesting. Hopefully it will be interesting.
Haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014.
They haven't?
2014. No, they have not won a game in Jacksonville since 2014.
The Colts are in Jacksonville. If they win, they're in. You have the Chargers and the Raiders against each other. Head to head, you win, you're in. The other one has San Francisco playing in LA against the Rams. The Rams are already in. San Francisco wins that game. They're in. If they don't, it's up to New Orleans to win theirs, and they still could backdoor themselves in. Which game now? Okay, let's say this. Take Indianapolis out of it, Chris. Which of those other 2 games do you like?
The Raiders game.
Yeah. We got 2 teams trying to get in.
Right. So, but what's interesting here is that, and I'm sure the NFL is going to be all over this, and that is if for some reason the Colts lose in Jacksonville, which is possible.
Could.
You can't trust Carson Wentz. It could happen.
No, you cannot.
That Raiders game, if that game ends in a tie, which is right after the Colts game.
I know.
Both those teams make it into the postseason.
There's no way you do that, though, Chris. I know you're saying technically that can happen. There's no way they do that. I think they still play the game hard and to the end. And if it ends up that they could tie to win, tie to get in, maybe, but not from the get-go.
For 2 seconds.
No.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't think both these head coaches are at least having a conversation about it. Yes, Roger Goodell is going to be there and make sure he does whatever he can so that it doesn't happen. But overall, I will probably throw myself down a flight of steps if that happens. I will lose my mind.
I know you will. But there is an opportunity. I think they still play the games hard. Maybe if it comes down near the end and you're trying to drive to get the winning touchdown and there's only a few seconds left, you say, what the heck? Let's finish at a tie. We'll both get in.
Why not?
No, I don't see it happening. Not the competitive spirit of the NFL, and no competitive player or person with competitive blood running to them wants to settle for a tie.
All right, Jerry, it is the time of the week everybody loves. We love it. They love it. It's hit them with it. It's time to wrap this thing up. There is a new basketball league in the Maritimes. Jerry, tell us about it.
Maritime Women's Basketball Association, Chris, their inaugural season is 2022, and it starts on April 21st with the Port City Fog taking on the Moncton Mystic. There's 4 other teams in the league, the Fredericton Freeze, Windsor Edge, Halifax Hornets, and Halifax Thunder. It should be a great season of women's basketball in around Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. Chris, the Olympics, what's the update on the possibility of NHLers going?
Possibility is there is no possibility. The NHL and the NHLPA have stepped in and said, at the end of the day, because of what took place with COVID in the NHL and the games being postponed, they had to make the tough call, although they made it sound like a tough call. I didn't think they wanted them there in the first place. I do feel for a guy like Steven Stamkos, who has not yet been able to go to the Olympics. He really wanted to go. The players have gone public. They wanted to go. It's a sad reality, but they will not be going. The NHL is going to try to make up those games during that Olympic break. But overall, heartbreaking, but it's not going to happen. We've got 2 teams playing in the NCAA championship on Monday. Jerry, give me a call on them.
Well, it was the teams we expected, and it's a rematch, actually, from earlier a few weeks ago. But the 2 games, they were Christmas or New Year's Eve. Looking forward to them tremendously. Alabama wipes the floor with Cincinnati, and Georgia takes care of Michigan. What a letdown it was on New Year's Eve to watch 2 very bad football games, watch part of them anyways. So it's going to be Georgia and Alabama for the championship on the 10th of January. Chris, TFC, the Toronto Football Club, they've got some money. What are they spending it on?
Lorenzo Insigne, a huge signing, one of the biggest signings in MLS history. They have signed him for about $13 million US for about 5.5 years, with a signing bonus or add-ons, we'll say at about 5.1 in total, bringing this thing to almost $23 million for TFC. Huge get for them, huge get for the MLS. Very excited. Can't wait to see soccer on the pitch back in Toronto. Jerry, NFL games on Saturday. Got to know, do you like them or do you hate them?
Love it. Don't have a problem with NFL every day of the week. And there was a week there this season where you had games Tuesday and Wednesday because of COVID. I'll move the games around. You had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The only game you didn't have was Friday night. So I love Saturday afternoon games. Give me more NFL any time of the week, any day of the week, and that'll make me very happy. What's going on with the Blue Jays and their home, Chris? What's going on with the home of where they live?
Spending $200 to $250 million to do major renovations to the Rogers Center. It looks like the key piece is going to be a full redesign of the lower bowl. A lot of discussion whether or not they were going to move or not. Looks like they own the building, they don't own the land, so that's where they are going to stay. Jerry, last one, we got to get it in before we chime off. Are the Flames getting a new arena?
The Saddledome, no. The city in Calgary and the Flames have not decided. The Saddledome's been around since 1983, Chris. It's the second oldest facility in the NHL. Madison Square Garden, built in 1968, is the only one older.
I absolutely love these hitting facts. Jerry, thanks for doing this, my friend. It's great to see your face. I know it's been a few weeks. We hope the fans loved it. Thanks for watching, guys. It's been another good one. We will see you next Thursday.